All right, so get ready for this because today we're doing a deep dive into the world of typists.
Typists. Really?
Yeah, you heard that right. Typists. We're digging into RoleCatcher's career guide for typists. And honestly, let me tell you, this is not your grandma's typing pool.
It's true. This is going to be interesting because we're going to uncover what this career path actually looks like now. And you might be surprised.
Yeah, because when you hear like typist, you probably think of like, I don't know, rows of desks with those old clackety typewriters.
Right.
But what we're going to do in this deep dive is we're going to uncover like all the hidden layers of this job, the skills, the tech, like the potential to move up even.
Yeah, and how it all connects to like the bigger picture of work, like
Yeah.
for example, typing speed and accuracy, that's obviously important, and the guide mentions that a lot, but then it gets really interesting.
Oh, okay. Tell me more. Like what kind of interesting are we talking
Yeah.
about?
Well, it's not just about, typing what you see. The guide talks about decoding handwritten notes, formatting those really complex reports, transcribing audio. It even mentions stenography.
Stenography. Okay. Hold on now. That's kind of cool. Like, are we talking courtroom drama level stenography? But like, seriously, is that even a thing anymore? Is that a lucrative skill? Are we talking super specialized industries here?
It's definitely a niche skill, yeah. But there's still demand for it, especially in those legal and medical fields. And because it requires, being super accurate and fast, stenographers can actually earn a lot more than the average typist.
Okay, so it's a career where like specializing can really pay off.
Exactly. And that kind of ties into a bigger trend that we're seeing. Digital literacy is valuable everywhere. It's not just about how fast you can type. You have to be adaptable. You got to be able to work with information in all its different forms.
Speaking of adapting, I have to ask about the elephant in the room.
Mm.
Or maybe we should say the AI in the computer. Because RoleCatcher is using AI in a really interesting way.
Totally. They're really at the forefront of how AI is changing how people are finding jobs. Their whole platform is a great example of that.
Okay, well, for those of us who haven't encountered this yet, what does that even look like? How are they using AI to help people find jobs?
So one thing they do is they use AI to help, create a resume that's tailored to you. Like they analyze job descriptions, really detailed breakdowns of what the employer is looking for. They're sometimes called job specs. And then their AI matches your skills to what that specific job needs.
Whoa, that's incredible. It's like having a personal resume writer, but it's powered by algorithms.
Exactly. And it doesn't stop there. They also have this massive database of, get this, 120,000 interview questions. It's like having an AI coach get you ready for an interview. You can practice answering questions, get feedback on how you sound, and you can even simulate an entire interview.
Hold on, wait, an AI interview coach?
Yeah.
That's both incredibly helpful and also kind of scary. But before we go too far down the AI rabbit hole, what about the actual career path of a typist? Because you mentioned different levels, right? From entry level all the way up to the senior typist. Is that even a real thing? A senior typist?
It is a real thing. It's not a dead-end job. You can actually move up. And the more experience and knowledge you get, the more money you can make. Like the guide says that the average typist who's just starting out makes about $35,000 to $40,000 each year. But that can go up a lot as you keep working and moving up.
Okay, now that's what I'm talking about. So
Yeah.
what does that progression look like?
Yeah.
What's the difference between, say, an entry-level typist and a senior typist?
Well, think about it like this. Let's say you're an entry-level typist. You're just starting out. You're probably going to be handling a lot of those basic tasks, like typing up documents, revising stuff, putting together information from different sources, maybe formatting reports and tables, things like that.
So even at the entry level, you could be working with all sorts of different stuff.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You might be doing things like transcribing audio recordings, putting together presentations, or even organizing data in spreadsheets, that kind of thing.
Wait, spreadsheets?
Yeah.
I never would have thought of that as being part of a typist's skill set.
It's becoming way more common these days. A lot of employers want typists to be good with at least the basic spreadsheet programs. And honestly, it's just a good skill to have in general because it can open up different opportunities for you later on.
So it's not just about typing words. It's like you're organizing and presenting information in a way that makes sense, that's easy to understand.
Exactly. And that's where those transferable skills really come into play. Like the guide talks about reading comprehension, grammar, even just attention to detail. Those are super important for typists.
Yeah, that makes total sense because it doesn't matter how fast you can type if you're always making mistakes or if you don't understand the material right.
That's exactly it. Having those core skills and having a strong foundation in them is what sets you apart from the rest because, let's be real, even with spell check and everything, you need to have that knowledge to catch those sneaky errors and make sure everything looks polished in the end.
Yeah, it's like you're like a silent guardian of grammar and clarity, making sure everything is perfect.
I love that. The silent guardian of grammar and clarity. That's
Yeah.
a good one. So, okay, let's fast forward a little bit. Say you're a senior typist now, you've moved up. At that point, you're not just typing anymore. You're leading projects, you might be managing a team, you could even be setting up document management systems.
Document management systems. Okay, now I got to ask. For those of us who aren't living in the world of documents all day, what even is that?
It's basically it's a system, right, for organizing and storing electronic documents. That way they're easy to find, easy to access whenever you need them. And as a senior typist, you might be in charge of choosing the right system for your team, showing everyone how to use it, and just making sure it all runs smoothly.
Hmm. Wow, so it becomes way more strategic at that senior level, right? It's less about just doing the tasks and more about thinking about the big picture of how information gets managed and shared.
You got it. And chances are at that point you're probably mentoring other typists too, those who are more junior, sharing what you know, helping them get better. Which, let's be honest, that's a pretty great feeling, seeing other people grow and learn because of you. It's rewarding.
Definitely. Okay, so let's talk about that growth in terms of salary. We know that starting out, it's around $35,000 to $40,000. But how much higher can you go as you move up that ladder?
Well, it always depends, right? Like how much experience you have, what industry you're in, even just where you live. But the guide mentions that senior typists, they can make upwards of $60,000 a year. And if you have some specialized skills, like if you're really good at legal or medical transcription, you could definitely make even more than that.
Okay, now that is a significant jump. It sounds like there's a real incentive to like really hone your skills and work your way up in this field. But what about people who aren't really interested in like climbing the corporate ladder?
Yeah.
What if you're happy just typing away, but you want to make sure you're not like falling behind? How do you stay competitive in the job market?
That's a great point. And you know what? The guide actually talks about that too. They emphasize how important it is to always be learning, especially in this kind of job where technology changes so fast.
So it's not just about learning the software that's being used right now. It's about always looking ahead, being ready to adapt to whatever's next.
Exactly. And there are tons of ways to do that. RoleCatcher, they recommend taking online courses, going to workshops, even just like keeping up with industry news and what's trending, that sort of thing.
And I bet having a solid portfolio of your work is helpful too, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the first things that potential employers are going to want to see. They want to see like real examples of what you can do, the stuff you've worked on.
So if you're applying for a job where you're going to be transcribing audio, you'd want to have samples of your transcription work ready to show them.
Exactly. It's the same thing for any other special skill you might have. Like if you're good at formatting legal documents or creating those really nice presentations, having a portfolio that shows off all of that, that's what's going to make you stand out.
It's like you're typing highlight reel. Okay, so we've covered the skills, the career path, how much money you can make, even just like what it actually feels like to do this job every day. But I feel like there's still one big question that we haven't quite gotten to yet.
That's that.
Well, with all this talk about AI and automation taking over, like, what happens to typists? Is this a job that's just going to disappear? Or is there a way for it to survive, to change with the times?
That's the question, isn't it? It's something that a lot of people are wondering about right now. But before we go full fortune teller and try to predict the future, let's take a step back for a minute and look at the bigger picture.
Okay, yeah, let's zoom out for a second. So here we are talking about the future of typing, when everything seems to be about automation.
Yeah.
It really does feel like things are about to change in a big way when it comes to like how we work with words.
Yeah, it's a weird time, right? Like we're at this crossroads. On the one hand, we have things like voice recognition getting better, AI that can write stuff for you, and that stuff could make typing like not as important. Think about why would you sit there and type out an email when you could just talk to your phone and it does it for you, or have an AI write it for you?
Totally. And those technologies, like they're only getting more advanced all the time, right? But then again, doesn't it feel like there's still something about, having a human touch on things?
Exactly. AI is great at like spitting out text and it can do it super fast. But can it really get that, I don't know, that creativity, the nuance, those little details that a person can bring to the table? I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Can AI really understand things like tone, or how to write in a certain style to make it effective? Can it get the context of what you're trying to say and then make sure it's all clear and correct and easy to understand?
Those are the questions, right? And honestly, right now, I don't think so. Not really. It's getting better all the time, but it's still missing that human element. Like it can't really get that empathy and understanding that a person has, and that's what lets a good typist really craft a message that like connects with people.
It's like the difference between like a robot just putting words together and a person who can actually turn those words into something meaningful, something that makes you feel something.
100%. And we can't forget about those other skills that typists have, like being able to think critically, solve problems.
Right.
Even in a world where everything is automated, you still need someone who can look at information, figure it out, and then explain those decisions in a way that makes sense.
All right. So it's not just about the typing itself. It's about being able to like engage your brain and use language to solve problems. It's about being able to adapt to be good with technology, to pay attention to details, and through it all, to still understand how people talk to each other.
Exactly. You got it. And those are all things that'll always be important no matter how much technology changes.
Yeah.
So to get back to your earlier question about whether this is even a real career anymore, I think so, definitely. It might not look the same in a few years. It might use different tools. But those core skills, those will always be valuable.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear. Especially for all those people out there who might want to be typists, but they're a little worried about what the future holds.
For sure. And look, if you're someone who enjoys playing with words, who loves getting things just right, and who's excited about what technology can do, well, this could be the perfect career for you.
It definitely seems like a field with a lot more to it than you might think. I know I learned a lot about a job that, honestly, I thought I knew everything about.
That's what I love about doing these deep dives. We get to dig into these things and realize, wow, there's always more to discover.
I am with you on that.
Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of typists, here's one last thought. What if, and stay with me here, what if all this AI actually creates new opportunities for typists? Maybe it'll be the people who can blend that human creativity with, being good with technology who really end up succeeding. Something to think about. Thanks for joining us on this journey. It's been a trip.
Until next time.